Hi, welcome to Mass Bioed's Career Ambassador Spotlight. Today I have with me Lance Holland. Lance is an Associate Director at Bluebird Bio. Lance, I'd like to ask you, just to start off the interview, can you describe what Bluebird Bio does? I know you're a gene therapy company, but can you describe for the audience exactly what gene therapy is and how this is used to help people?
Yeah, sure. Great. Thanks for having me. First of all, I'm really excited by this and really looking forward to kind of explaining what I do and give a little more context to the biotech industry in general.
Mhm.
Um, like you said, we're a gene therapy company. It's a really cool area of biotechnology that we're working in, and it's to me it really represents the future of what biotechnology and medicine is going to offer. And so, in really simple terms, gene therapy is, in our form of it, we take a person's blood stem cells and we use a virus, but an inactivated form of a virus, really like a Trojan horse, and we put a healthy gene inside the virus, and we use the properties of a virus because they can infect cells and get into cells, and so we use it in a good way to carry in that corrected or healthy gene sequence into stem cells, and they essentially replace the defective or the bad gene, and so we transform that person's cells, and then we have a whole process around this, and then we send the cells back to the patient where they can infuse these stem cells back into the body. And the idea is that these corrected or fixed cells can then grow in the person's body and replace the cells that had that defective gene.
Wow, that's amazing. And what diseases are you looking to help cure?
Yeah, no, yeah, great. So we have a few different diseases. We have in various different stages. So one disease that we work on is called transfusion dependent beta thalassemia. We call it TDT for short because no one wants to say that all the time. And that's a blood-based disease where you have a defective hemoglobin in your body, and so it's not delivering oxygen the right way. So that's one indication, and we actually have approval for that in Europe. So basically, what that means, you can go to a clinic in Europe and you could get, if you have this condition, you could get prescribed our gene therapy. So we have that approved in Europe. We have it in the U.S., but it's not quite approved yet. We work on sickle cell disease, which is another really popular, kind of well-known blood-based disease. And so again, doing the same thing, fixing that faulty hemoglobin that causes the cells to have that sickle shape. And then we have another disease called adrenoleukodystrophy, or cerebral adrenoleukodystrophy. It's always hard to say, tongue twister. We call it CALD for short. And so that's a really devastating, awful disease that affects mostly young boys, and it creates this buildup of fatty acids or fatty tissue in the brain, and so it can be a really devastating disease that often leads to a really early death, unfortunately. So that's another. We have that in the clinical phases. And then kind of the other big one that we're working on is multiple myeloma. So that's cancer treatment. We call that cell therapy. It's a little bit different than the gene therapy. We still use the spiral vector, but in this case, we're really putting antibodies onto your white blood cells that are the infection fighting cells. And so we put these antibodies on those cells so that it can detect the multiple myeloma and then really help your own immune system attack and kill the cancer. So that's kind of a little bit different than the other ones that I talked about.
That's amazing. All these things are sort of like science fiction just 10 years ago or 15
Yeah,
years.
honestly, I mean, that's the most amazing thing. I've been in the industry since 2003, and only a couple of years ago did I come to Bluebird Bio. And I mean, I agree. I mean, to me, this just sounded so far off, and it would never happen. And here we are, and it's really exciting. It's really amazing. I think the big thing about this aspect of biotechnology is you're not just sort of fixing symptoms or fixing the parts of the disease that cause you pain or suffering, and you have to get this all the time. The idea with our therapy is it's a one-time treatment. We take your cells, we do this treatment, we give your cells back to you in their kind of new and improved fashion. And the idea is you take that once, and you should, ideally, we say curative, in that you should never, hopefully we hope to eliminate the actual illness itself, because we fix the cells, which are the true root cause. So it's really remarkable, really exciting, really blessed to have the opportunity to be able to contribute in that kind of way.
That is so amazing. So can you speak a little bit about what you do specifically at Bluebird Bio?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, I'm an associate director of manufacturing. What we call it is external manufacturing. We actually don't do the manufacturing in-house at Bluebird Bio in Cambridge. We actually work with companies, a company called a contract manufacturing organization. So we say CM. And so we actually work with partners that have their own manufacturing facility, and they manufacture these products that we have. And so I oversee the Bluebird part of the manufacturing operation for a CMO that we have in Germany. So the best way to say it is they're doing all the manufacturing. We have a team that's sort of overseeing it, help problem solve, help address any kind of technical issues that come up. You know, it's our process that we designed, and so we're there for kind of support, making sure things are on track, making sure the product is safe for release, and any kind of issues that come up, we're helping kind of smooth those out and fix them. So I have a team of people that are directly interacting with that CMO, just to kind of help provide support and make sure things are on track.
So since the purpose of this interview is just to learn about different careers, can you describe some more of your team members? What do they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I talk about teams, I actually have a few different teams that we work in. So one is my direct team. So I have someone that reports to me. I'm their boss, and they actually have a couple people that report to them. And so that's their boss. And so we're focused on the manufacturing part. So we have our little manufacturing team within kind of a matrix team, we call it, where so I have that one team where we're really focused in on the manufacturing part. And then we have the other part of our larger teams that supports this CMO. We've got folks that work in quality assurance. And so they're really focused in on, do we have a good, high quality product? And so that's kind of their focus. We have a group called Manufacturing Science and Technology, or MSAT for short. They're like process engineers, and they're really focused in on the science and the process, and technically what are the things going wrong. So, and we have another group called Quality Control, and they're making sure that the tests that we do to ensure that the product is safe and working properly, that's kind of their focus. And so I'd say those four groups, we sort of work together, focused on this one CMO and the different processes that we manufacture there. And so we just work as a team to make sure that as each product, we call it a lot. So each time someone has their cells going through this process, we call that a lot. And so we're really focused on that particular lot, which also happens to actually, you could literally put a name to it, which is really exciting and cool about what we do. It's not like you're making some big amount of product that could go to a number of people. This is, Lance's cells that are going and being turned into this product. And so we all kind of work together with the eye on that product, just to make sure that everything's going well and going according to schedule, and it's meeting all the what we call release assays, to make sure that it's deemed safe and can be delivered to the patient for use.
Wow. And how long does it take each lot, each person's cells, to be treated and move through your system?
So it depends on the different process, but it's actually quite fast in terms of the process itself. So someone has to go in, they get their blood, they do a blood collection essentially, and we process it in a way that's maybe a 1 or 2 day process. And then we ship it to the manufacturer for the process to take place. It's actually only a 4-day process for our gene therapy product. So it's very, very quick and fast process. And then we have to freeze it down, and we would ship it off to the infusion site for the patient to get their cells back, essentially. But really, it's around the paperwork and making sure all the testing goes appropriately, and we've got all the right results. And so that bulk of time can be, let's say, 35 days, but the actual manufacturing process itself is really quite quick. So there's kind of the technical work and the work that has to be done for the manufacturing, and then there's all the sort of surrounding work to make sure that it's safe and efficacious and it's doing what we think it's going to do, and it's got the right profiles, and that can take a little bit longer.